Greetings, mind crafters, and welcome to another Minecraft discussion on this glorious day. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and I'm your hostess with the mostest here to discuss yet another way to become the boss of your brain. This is what Minecraft is all about. And when we become the boss of our brain and take charge, we are just on our way to living our very best life. I think, we've been talking this week about Greg McGowan's, I hope I'm saying his last name right, book, Essentialism. I'm just telling you, I am probably his newest and now biggest fan. I feel like I am because it's amazing. I was saying, to all of you, over the past couple episodes that it's wonderful when like the light bulb goes on for me with inspiration, and oftentimes it's exactly where I'm at and what I need to do too. And as we said a couple of times, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and Greg is my teacher for right now. And so I wanted to kind of take this a step further. Okay, so we talked about essentialism as far as honing in on that one priority. We talked about that right back in the 1400s. There was no plural for that. It's just the one main thing. And obviously, this is fluid. What's our number one priority on that day might not necessarily be the same priority next week, or it might. But wherever we focus our attention, wherever we place our mind's attention, is what's going to do well. And so to take that a step further, because I talked about being in a mastermind group, which has just been amazing. I've just met the most incredible people. And when I said to you that they turned me on to essentialism, actually, the first book they were talking about was Greg McGowan's book called Effortless, which is actually his second book. But the first one they were talking about, to me. And so I ordered them both and started reading the first one first. And then I just had to dip into this one because I think my mind is, well, actually, I don't think I know. My mind is, I'm driven by an interest-based nervous system, as I'm a fast minder. I prefer not to use the ADHD term, or it's a misnomer. But anyway, so I just got pulled into Effortless. It was as it was sitting on our table over there, and because it takes it to another step. So he kind of wraps around the essentialism, honing in on that one thing, and then he takes it to this new place where he asks, "What could happen in your life if the easy but pointless things became harder, and the essential things became easier?" And also, when I was pondering about doing this topic for a podcast today, I was looking at another one of Greg's very simple illustrations, and less is more. I'm all about the simplicity. Two pictures of a jar in black and white, looking like they're hand drawn, and putting the big rocks in one, and then like the pebbles on top, and there's not enough room. So the big rocks represent the things the essentials we just can't miss. It's time with the partner, time with the kids, the job, things we just can't not do, health, all that stuff. And then the pebbles are like, maybe all like the projects, the fun stuff we really love, that is second to all those bigger things. And if you put the pebbles in first, there's just not a lot of room for the big rocks, is the point. And so when there's too many big rocks and you can't skip any of it. So this was the thing, and I really felt this because I'm in this right now. That's why I felt it. When there are too many big like the bigger rocks, meaning all the stuff you can't skip, then what do you do? Like, how do you become an essentialist when it feels like, most of there's too many essentials, you can't cut them out? What do you do then? And so the purpose of the Effortless book is so cool. I'm only a little bit into it. It's okay. Like, what if you can't cut them, you can at least make them easier and easier to carry out whatever it is you have to do until it becomes effortless. So it's about not getting rid of when you have too many, but making it all easier. And it reminds me of just lots of things. Um, work smart, not hard, as they say, is one. And I think in order to do this, which he was talking about earlier in the book, is we're just so programmed to do the opposite. We just feel, and I definitely feel this at a fabulous 58. I don't know if it's our generation, because my husband and I have talked about it a lot. And it definitely in the States, and that if you're not constantly being productive, you're lazy or something. Or if you're not staying after work, I'm thinking like more like Wall Street and all that. You're not staying after work, your job's not that important. Or, there's always more you could be doing. And I don't mean just Wall Street either. I think like our daughter stays after all the time at school. She teaches third grade and she's making a huge difference with these kids. And she stays after because she wants to and she loves them. And she's constantly trying to plan new things and all of that. And I think no matter what field you bring it into, we are kind of grilled that we've got to, go, 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 do more, more, more. And if we don't, that we don't care or we're lazy or we're not ambitious or we're not motivated, or I don't know, but that's definitely something that's in our programming. I think that we've got to get past that so we can actually have the same, if not better, results without running ourselves in the ground and getting burnt out. And he says somewhere in here, so I'm paraphrasing, that there's no medal for burnout. And I said that in my my first book when I was talking about that. I was talking about that earlier in an episode recently, Striving for the Purple Heart, Mothers in the Universal Pursuit of Honor with Young Motherhood. And there's no honor to martyrdom either or burnout. And I think of, my least favorite children's book ever, The Giving Tree. When the tree, the little boy, and first she gives her the fruit, the apples off of it, then he wants the leaves. I forget the exact order. And then the bark he uses for something, then he makes a canoe out of, most of her and in the canoe, and then eventually all that's left to give is the stump. And that's just not like we're programmed for that, especially as women, and especially as women who choose to be mothers. And there is no there is I don't want to roll. I was very careful to not role model that for our sons or daughters, that this is, to aspire to be a stump where all you can offer somebody is a place to sit on you. I mean, no, I mean, that's just not. I think we should call that book Codependency for Kids. That's really what we're teaching them, is to just, you know, just aspire to be, a used dish rag is just not what I want for my kids, for sure. So the flip side of that, rather than allowing ourselves to become drained and burnt out, and also when we are drained and burnt out, not only do we have nothing to give to ourselves or other people, we're also not that much fun to be around. I mean, I'm sure if you've been around anybody burnt out, they're pretty crispy, negativo, and no one really, wants to be around those people. So instead, we can consciously work at first filtering down to the essentials, what you have to do, let go of everything else. And like I said before, I've at various workshops and conferences where I've presented, I actually have people come up with a not to do list. I've been doing that for a while. So Greg and I are on the same page, so to speak. But then really work at letting go of the resistance. And I had such a come together moment today with the people I listen to and read. Greg Abraham Hicks is all about energy over effort, all about it. I mean, just because, and then he gets into talking about like linear results and then residual results. So when we get into this effortless place where we are using lots of muscle memory, lots of habitual mind work, and getting rid of the crap, which Wayne Dyer talks about a lot too. Wayne Dyer says this, has been saying this forever. When we've got, a lot of the negative, and I'm picturing, Greg has another illustration in here. Oh, there it is. Where it's just like a jumble. It just looks like a ball of twine that's not neatly rolled together. And he's got complaining, burdens, anger, grudges, fear, distractions, exhaustion, and outdated assumptions. And then we can't like enter this effortless state when it's clouded over with all these negative emotions, because the brain, the mind, is going to go, especially if there's a the threat stuff, when it perceives like it's being threatened. The whole fear definitely throws a gigantic wrench in creativity and doing anything with ease. And so does anger, so does resentment, like all these things just clog up um the brain's ability to do anything easily, because the brain is going to hone in on all those negative emotions first, out of for survival purposes. And I like how Greg used one of the greatest free throw shooters ever in basketball. So I'll just read this little part because it just he says it way better than I could. The best free throw shooter ever is not Michael Jordan or Steph Curry. It's Elena Dell Dunn. Her success rate at the free throw line across her career is 93.4%. Imagine that. 93.4%. That's not just the highest in the WNBA history, but higher than any player in the NBA history as well. If you look at her postseason record, it's even higher. It's 96.4%, which is crazy because that means when the pressure was more, she did even better. It's just awesome. Put simply, she is the best free throw shooter ever. Her secret is to trust the simple process she has practiced since eighth grade. She steps up to the line, finds the dot with her right foot, lines up her feet, takes 3 dribbles, makes an L with her arm, then lifts and flicks. If you keep it simple, less can go wrong, she says. The most important part of the process, not overthinking it. The biggest thing on the foul line is you can let too much get inside your head. This is what we're talking about. In other words, the secret to Dunn's success is her ability to get into what I call the effortless state, right? So Greg's talking about not allowing all those old stories, all the old emotion, the old assumptions, the old memories that have old emotion attached to them. Clear that shit out. That's what we're talking about. He said you are like a supercomputer designed with extremely powerful capabilities. You're built to be able to learn quickly, solve problems intuitively, and compute the right next action effortlessly. Under optimal conditions, your brain works at incredible speeds. But this is the thing, and then he gets into like when a computer, I forget if he has a virus or what, but when it's overworked and the memory's all clogged up, like my current computer is actually, we all know what happens. It runs very slowly, and not much gets in. You have to reboot a bunch of times, at least I do, and it just doesn't work as efficiently. And so this is common sense. And so I just thought of a Ben Franklin quote though, because Ben Franklin said, "If sense were common, more people would have it." I love that. So I think about what I teach my cognitive psych class, which is the cognitive load theory, which talks about this exact thing too. Not only when our working memories all clogged up with anxiety and all this negativity we were talking about, but also different tasks take more juice than others. So example, taking a physics exam, unless you're a physicist or, like that's your major in college or graduate school, not most people consider that to be a high cognitive load. Chess, unless you're a chess master, if you're just a regular person playing chess, that takes a lot of cognitive juice to make those moves. Not so much, if you're a chess master. And, other things, trying to fix an engine in a car, unless you're a mechanic, would take a lot of juice. And something like reading a book, watching Netflix, staring at the fireplace like I'm doing right now, that doesn't take a lot of energy. We've got to really, though, pay attention where we allocate that energy to, what we, sort of where we choose to place our energy. Because if you picture it like a circle with 100% of attention, all we have, on any given day to do anything, we don't want to divvy out those pieces of pie to things that just don't matter very much to us. Okay, so in addition to the physics example, the chess example, and all that, our brain is programmed to prioritize what Greg says, what Greg calls emotions with high affective value, like fear, resentment, anger. These strong emotions will generally win out, leaving us with even fewer mental resources to devote to making progress on the things that do matter. So then he says, when your computer is running slowly, like we just said, all you have to do is hit a few buttons to clear all the browsing data, and immediately the machine works smoother and faster, right? In a similar way, you can learn simple tasks to rid yourself of all the clutter slowing down the hard drive of your mind. Hitting a few buttons, you can restore to your original effortless state. And then, Greg uses an example of like you just had like a hard day at work, where you just boss said something to you, you forgot your keys, stubbed your toe, whatever. At the end of that day, you come home to, a warm meal, a hot shower, and a good night's sleep, and you wake up feeling, completely different after that. It's kind of like a reboot. You wake up feeling clear-headed, and he says, when you return to your effortless state, you actually feel lighter. I think we've all experienced this. And he says in two senses of the word. First, you feel less heavy, unburdened. That's huge. Once you dump off some stuff, maybe if you have a partner or a roommate or a friend or call your best friend on the phone. When you kind of just share all that, your day didn't go blah 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 blah. Then you have the nice dinner, the hot bath, and watch a movie or something. You just feel lighter. It's like you emptied your mind, right? And he says, and it said you're not weighed down, and suddenly you have more energy. But lighter also means more full of light. When you remove the burdens in your heart and the distractions from your mind, you're able to see more clearly. You can discern the right action and light. You can discern the right action and light the right path. The effortless state is one in which you are physically rested, emotionally unburdened, and mentally energized. You are completely present. Now that's huge. We were talking about that. I don't know. I did a video this morning. Oh my gosh, you got to be present because when we're not present, we are basically missing out on our lives. I mean, that's just how it is. So you are completely present, attentive, and focused on what's important in that moment. You're able to do what matters most with ease. You are able to do what matters most with ease. This is what we're talking about with the effortless state of being. So once again, my inspiration came from Greg McCowan, in his book Effortless. Make it easier to do what matters most. Man, this is great. All right, this is Kimberly Quinn signing off from the beautiful Northern Vermont. Have a mindful, effortless day.